At the beginning of the story, we see Victor working on his new prototype robot, A112. His wife Nadia and his colleague Katya are there with him. The three of them are building an advanced robot designed to handle almost any task. Once the system is activated, they begin testing the robot's movement. At first, it keeps falling over and struggles to walk properly. This makes them worried, but Victor refuses to give up. However, when he notices that the robot can't control its strength and starts breaking objects, he feels discouraged. Trying to motivate him, Nadia suggests that they can improve the robot's processing power since it's still in the testing phase. She tells him not to stress too much. Gradually, the robot learns how to balance and walk. Seeing this progress makes all three of them happy. With continued training, the robot improves even more, and they feel satisfied with the results. One day at work, Nadia receives a call from her son, Misha. She's busy, so she declines the call and texts him to talk to his dad instead. She then asks Victor to check what Misha needs. When Victor calls his son, Misha complains that he doesn't want to stay at school and asks to be picked up. He says he's thinking about quitting math. Victor scolds him and tells him to stop making excuses and focus on his studies. Hearing this, Misha gets upset and hangs up. Soon after, a few mischievous kids approach him and start making fun of him. Angry, Misha goes into class and asks his teacher if math is really necessary if he wants to become an artist. The teacher replies that it is. She gives the example of Leonardo da Vinci, explaining that before painting, he studied engineering and created many prototype models. This only frustrates Misha more. A few hours later, the teacher collects everyone's homework. Misha hasn't answered a single math question. Instead, he has filled the entire page with drawings. The teacher praises his artwork, but reminds him that this is math class and marks him as failed on the test. Meanwhile, back at the lab, Victor runs a voice test on the robot. He discovers that Nadia and Katya have installed a childlike voice module into A112. This makes him furious. The bigger problem is that there's no time to fix it because they're already late for an important meeting. During the meeting, they show the committee training videos of the robot. The general notices that A112 reacts slightly slower than expected and fails to protect its target at the exact required moment. He says the robot still needs major improvements. Victor tries to defend the project, pointing out that the robot successfully completed all the missions, but the general responds that in real combat, even a small delay can cost lives. At the same time, Misha informs Grant that his teacher has sent him to the principal's office. Grant comforts him and says he can go to the school in place of his parents if needed, but Misha refuses and walks away. After this, Victor speaks directly to A112 in the lab. He asks why the test results were so poor. The robot calmly replies that maybe it just wasn't having a good day. That answer only makes Victor angrier. Trying to shift the topic, the robot asks if it can look at photos of Victor's family. It explains that it wants to understand more about families. Victor brushes it off and tells the robot not to focus on useless things like that. But A112 asks another question. Are you all my family? Victor immediately shuts that idea down. He tells the robot it's just a machine, not a human. Machines don't have families, and right now it's only giving him a headache. After saying that, Victor and the two scientists leave the lab and A112 is left alone. At home, Victor and Nadia scold Misha for drawing pictures in his math homework. Victor even tells him that his drawings aren't that good and says he should study hard and become a scientist like his parents. Upset, Misha fires back that he never wants to become like them. The way he says it really hurts Victor. Meanwhile, back in the lab, A112 is alone. It searches for the word family in a dictionary, but still doesn't fully understand the meaning. It then decides that the only way to learn is to find a real family. Using its built-in weapons, it blasts the lab door open and quietly escapes. The robot moves carefully through the city, trying not to be noticed. At one point, it almost collides with a small street train. Later, it sees a group of people painting a mural on a wall. When they hear the robot's voice, one of the boys slips and falls. A112 quickly helps him up and saves him from getting hurt. Even after being helped, the boy runs away in fear. This makes the robot feel even more alone.
A few minutes later, A112 walks onto a construction site.
It tells the workers to finish their job quickly because the noise is disturbing the area. The workers panic and run off. The robot looks at the family photo it took from the lab and wonders where its own family might be. The next day, Victor and his team return to the lab and realize that A112 has escaped. At school, the teacher announces a robotics competition and tells the students that everyone must register. Hearing this, Misha stands up. The teacher asks why he doesn't want to participate, especially since he considers himself creative. Misha feels embarrassed and storms out of the classroom. Around the same time, A112 arrives outside Misha's house. Using one of its fingers, it forms a temporary key and unlocks the door. Inside, it stands in front of a mirror and looks at its reflection, feeling lonely again. Suddenly, it hears the door open and quickly hides. Misha walks in, throws his backpack on the floor, and heads to the bathroom. After washing his hands, he turns around and sees the robot holding out a towel for him. A112 had actually gone into the bathroom to hide.
Startled, Misha jumps back and bumps into the sink. The robot tries to help and says it can provide treatment if he's hurt. Misha runs to his room and climbs onto his bed. The robot follows and calmly says, "I won't hurt you. I just want to help." When it sees that Misha is fine, it relaxes and introduces itself. "My name is A112. I am a multifunctional rescue robot." It then explains everything, how it entered the house by forming a key with its finger and demonstrates its different voice models. Hearing the robot switch between different voice modes, Misha couldn't help but laugh a little. After a moment, the robot said it was searching for a family. It wanted to understand what a real family actually means. It even showed Misha the photo it had taken from the lab. Misha's smile faded. He said that wasn't a real family. According to him, his parents, Victor and Katya, only care about themselves. The robot replied that it had been feeling something similar lately. It said it must be useless since it couldn't even make its creator proud. That made Misha shake his head. He told the robot it wasn't useless at all. "You made me happy," he said. "That counts." Then he suggested they become friends from now on and decided to give it a new name, Robbie. Hearing a personal name for the first time made the robot surprisingly happy. Meanwhile, back at the lab, General Oleg held a meeting with the scientists. He angrily announced that A112 had escaped and warned that it could become dangerous. The robot carried powerful weapons, and that made the situation serious. When Victor realized his family photo was missing from the lab, he decided he should check the house later. At home, Misha and Robbie were watching TV together. As soon as Victor arrived, the robot quickly hid. Victor searched the entire house but didn't find anything unusual. Once he left the room, Misha gave Robbie his computer so it could learn more about the world. Within minutes, Robbie had absorbed a huge amount of information. Later, Misha took Robbie to the workshop where his friend Grant worked on his art. Robbie studied the drawings and asked why they weren't perfectly symmetrical. Misha explained that art doesn't need to be symmetrical, it just needs to feel beautiful. Then he brought Robbie to the window and together they watched the sunset. The view made Robbie genuinely happy. Then Misha told him that tomorrow he would have to stay hidden because he had school. After that, Robbie was left alone in the workshop. Before leaving, Misha handed him a pen so he could try drawing. On the other side of the city, General Oleg's team reported that they had searched a large area, but still hadn't found the robot. Oleg ordered increased security around the lab and told his officers to send out a citywide alert. If anyone spotted the robot, they were to report it immediately. A few hours later, Victor, Nadia, and Misha were having dinner at home. Nadia noticed Victor seemed worried and asked what was wrong. Victor explained that his boss had hinted the lab might shut down. Misha asked why. Victor replied that their robot, A112, had gone missing.
The next day at school, a boy named Anton was playing with his remote-controlled robot during class and deliberately annoying the teacher. When the teacher got angry, Anton tossed the remote toward Misha. It made it look like Misha was responsible.
Without asking many questions, the teacher sent Misha out of the classroom. Later, in gym class, Misha confronted Anton. Anton started making fun of him again, but this time Misha had had enough. He grabbed Anton and pushed him to the ground, demanding to know why he blamed him. The gym teacher rushed over and separated them. Still upset, Misha walked out and headed straight to the workshop. When he got there, he saw Robbie and Grant playing cards together. They had already become good friends. Noticing the stress on Misha's face, the robot asked what happened. Misha told him the truth. The military was actively searching for him, and the order was clear: find the robot and destroy it at any cost. After thinking it through, Misha told Robbie that he should leave the city for a while. Then Grant mentioned a section of forest outside town where no one goes anymore because a massive fire had burned through it some time ago. Hearing that gave Misha an idea. He suggested that Robbie could go there and help put out the remaining fire spots. If people saw him helping instead of harming, they might believe he actually wanted to protect humans. The plan excited all three of them. Just then, there was a loud knock at the workshop door. Police officers ordered them to open immediately. Grant tried to stall, saying he was busy and would come in a minute. Meanwhile, Misha and Robbie rushed up to the terrace to escape. Robbie lifted Misha onto his back and activated his jet system, flying over the nearby buildings. The police quickly reported to headquarters that A112 had kidnapped a boy and escaped right in front of them. They said they were in pursuit and would soon have the exact location. During the escape, Misha's phone slipped from his pocket and fell to the ground. When they realized the police were about to surround them, Robbie made a powerful jump, and the two managed to get away. News channels soon began reporting that A112 was on the run. Grant was interviewed, and the media made it seem as if Grant had been held hostage by the robot and rescued by the police. Because of that version of events, the officers didn't arrest him. Elsewhere, Robbie and Misha stopped between unfinished construction buildings to catch their breath. Misha said he was angry that people were spreading false stories and damaging Robbie's image across the media. Robbie responded that maybe his earlier test failures were caused by communication issues. He wondered if there was something wrong inside him. Misha assured him, telling him not to overthink it. He said Robbie was brave and good. Hearing that meant a lot to the robot. Robbie gave Misha a thermal blanket to keep him warm, and the two of them watched a movie together on a device. After a while, Misha realized it was the first night he wouldn't hear his mom say goodnight. Robbie offered to take him home if he wanted. Misha refused. He said if they went back, the authorities would destroy Robbie. They would capture him and tear him apart piece by piece. Knowing that Misha cared about him made him feel valued.
The next morning, they woke up to the sounds of workers arriving at the construction site. Misha said they needed to change their appearance so no one would recognize them. He reminded Robbie about the forest fire idea. If they could put it out, maybe the police and the public would start seeing him as a helpful robot instead of a threat. That might save him. Back at home, Katya visited Victor and Nadia with bad news. The lab had officially been shut down. Victor immediately went to the police station to ask if there was any update about the robot or his son. Meanwhile, Robbie and Misha reached the city circus. After talking with some of the performers, they managed to get clown costumes as a disguise. A few minutes later, Misha told Robbie to switch to a different voice mode while he went to buy tickets. At that moment, Anton and Yulia, two classmates from Misha's school, showed up at the circus. They were shocked to see him there. The other kids looked nervous around the robot, but Misha explained that Robbie was his friend, and he told them they were running away to take Robbie somewhere safe before anyone could hurt him. On the other side, Victor tried once more to reason with the general. He requested that the lab not be shut down, but the general firmly replied that his decision was final. He added that wherever he found the robot, he would destroy it on the spot. Feeling defeated, Victor walked away. He understood there was no point arguing with him. Still, watching his biggest project fall apart hurt deeply. Meanwhile, Misha told his friends to stay with Robbie while he went to buy bus tickets. They planned to head to the nearby forest and put out the fire so Robbie could clear his name. Before leaving, Misha made them promise not to tell anyone. They agreed. But as soon as Misha stepped away, Anton turned to Robbie and asked if he could really perform those amazing tricks or if the news had exaggerated everything. Hearing that, Robbie got excited. He removed his clown costume and began showing off his abilities right there. Anton quickly pulled out his phone and started recording. Olia became upset seeing this. Anton shrugged and said he didn't care whether the robot lived or died. He planned to upload the video to Instagram to gain followers. Olia felt disappointed by his behavior. Soon after, Anton left, while Robbie stayed back and continued talking with Olia. At the same time, two guards caught Misha. Based on his appearance, they figured he was the missing boy everyone was looking for. A few minutes later, Victor received a call from the police station. He felt relieved knowing at least his son was safe. Meanwhile, Anton had posted the videos online and they quickly went viral. Before long, the clips reached the general's team. They decided to question the boy connected to the robot. At the station, Victor met Misha and hugged him tightly. He asked what he had been doing and warned him that the robot was dangerous. Misha insisted that Robbie was his friend and not a threat like the general claimed. He explained that Robbie had been kind and had been staying with some friends. Misha convinced his father to come with him to that location, making him promise not to report the robot. Victor hesitated but eventually agreed.
Back at the hideout, Olia had given Robbie a new look using makeup. When Victor arrived, he noticed that Robbie had improved a lot. His communication was clearer, and his thinking seemed more advanced. Suddenly, police vehicles surrounded the area. Misha realized they were in serious trouble. The group ran toward a cargo ship warehouse, but soldiers quickly blocked their path. General Oleg ordered his men to move the children aside so they could use an electromagnetic weapon to shut the robot down. When Victor refused to step back, Oleg decided to use force. Soldiers moved closer. Just then, a cable from a crane snapped and a heavy container began falling directly toward the general. Although Robbie was the target, he reacted instantly and caught the container to prevent anyone from being crushed. The weight was too much for his structure. His hardware wasn't built to handle that load. He told everyone to move away to a safe distance. Misha shouted in fear for his friend. Moments later, the container crashed down onto Robbie, smashing him completely. Watching this, Oleg stood stunned. He had wanted to destroy the robot, yet the robot had just saved his life. After a while, the container was carefully lifted off Robbie. Misha, heartbroken, stepped closer and began saying goodbye to him. Victor tried to calm his son, telling him to stay strong. Just then, Misha heard a faint sound. Robbie was powering back on. Everyone froze for a second, then realized he was reactivating. Relief spread across their faces. Robbie wasn't completely destroyed. He was still functioning, at least partially. Together, they helped him get back up and quickly left the area before more trouble could start. Later on, Misha showed Robbie and Olia the drawings he had made of their adventure. The sketches captured everything they had been through, and everyone genuinely loved them. By the end of the day, they all gathered for dinner. It finally felt calm and normal again. Robbie asked Nadia if he could use her phone so he could take a photo with his new family. He wanted to save the moment. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.